All right, so taking the story of Chase making his delicious silken tofu for Yumi, and Khan and his infatuation and passion for using native Australian ingredients, I thought we'd come up with a sort of home-style version of a silken tofu with a sweet and sour broth, using the Marcel chicken stock, infused with ingredients that we might have in our pantry. Nothing too kind of weird and wonderful and super fancy. Usual suspects, fish sauce, soy, lime, ginger, garlic, even a bit of tomato sauce. First up, pop a pot on the stove. We're gonna pour in a litre of Marcel chicken stock, which is gonna be the base to our sweet and sour broth. All right, so whilst that's coming up, we'll just talk about the other ingredients. So first up, we have some ginger. So it's fairly young. I've just scrubbed this, no need to peel it. So I'm gonna slice this up, and then ginger straight in. Next, a couple of cloves of garlic. So again, we'll just slice these up. So I'm gonna cook this for about 20 minutes or so to allow the flavors to infuse, and it would reduce somewhat and really, really intensify. Next, we're gonna take some lemongrass. This is also readily available, really easy to use. You can find it in Asian grocers, at supermarkets, farmers markets. So we're gonna just bruise this up and throw her in. All right, so next we'll season it. So we're gonna add our salt. So in this case, a little bit of fish sauce. And as with most cooking, I think it's really important to season a little bit at the start and at the end as well. And it's vitally important with this dish because it's all about balance of flavors. Touch of soy, which of course is gonna give it that sort of beautiful golden color as well. And then, this may seem a bit strange, but this is tomato sauce. So this is gonna give it even more color, but also just a bit of texture. So just a couple of teaspoons. And then there's a little nod to Khan's passion for native Australian ingredients. We're gonna use a little bit of dried lemon myrtle. So this, again, these ingredients are wonderful. They're growing all around us in Australia. I think it's really important to utilize them, make the most. They harbor loads of flavor. They're really important to our country. So just a couple of pinches go a long way. Whilst that's doing its thing, we're gonna chop our fresh ingredients. So in this case, we're gonna use some green shallots here. I'm gonna use the white part, the crunchy, crispy white shallot, to garnish our tofu, but the tops I'm just going to add into our stock. For a bit of heat for our broth, we're going to add some long red chili. If you're cooking for your kids or your family and spice is an issue, that's fine, just leave it out or just scrape out the seeds. Today it isn't, so I'm going to use the whole thing. Okay, so next I'm just going to simmer that. So bring her up to a boil, lid off, let it reduce somewhat, which is just going to intensify the flavors. Boil it for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to strain it, taste it, and it's ready to go. So as we know, Chase made that spectacular silken tofu from scratch. We aren't going to make it from scratch, but you can buy loads of amazing, really good quality silken tofus from Asian grocers and of course your supermarket. For this, we're just going to drain off some of the excess juice, and then we're going to cut this into sort of 4 or 5 slices about yay thick. Next, we'll get your favorite large bowl. We'll pop the tofu in the bottom and just let it come up to room temperature. Now it's all about the broth. So that's at about 20 minutes cooking now. So it's reduced slightly. Give me a little taste. That's pretty good. I'm really happy with that. So that's everything it should be. It's well balanced, it's sharp, it's clean. You can strain that if you like, but we're just gonna grab some tongs and we'll just take out the chunky bits. I don't mind if there's a little bit of garlic in there or little bits of lemon myrtle. I think it gives it a bit more character seeing little bits and pieces in your broth. So I'll give him a little taste. That's great. I'm just gonna cut it with a little bit of soy, a little bit of dark sesame oil, and then for our sour or our acid, just a fresh lime. I think it's really nice to squeeze over your hands, and also you get the benefit of all the oils that are on the skin, which really add a lot to your broth. Okay, so I'm happy with the acid levels and sweetness of our broth now. The silken tofu is in our bowl, ready to be served. And at this point, you could add other ingredients if you like. You could add maybe some prawns, some shiitake mushrooms or gnocchis would be lovely, or even just some shredded chicken. But for me, it's all about the silken tofu today. So now I'm just going to bring over our hot broth and gently pour this with a bit of care with a ladle. And you'll pour this over the silken tofu, and that's going to heat up the dish. I'll garnish it with some of these ingredients. So I have some of these beautiful, crunchy, fresh green shallots. For a little bit more crunch, we've got some roasted white sesame seeds. A touch more of our dark sesame oil, just around the outside. I think it's a really nice little touch. And then just for a little bit of extra heat, I'm just going to take this chili. And for me, in our house, we like to put it in the center of the table, and it's all about the condiments. I love this stuff. This is crunchy chili oil, a little bit more citrus, some more of our fresh lime, sesame, and then finally just a little bit of the lemon myrtle on top, which I think is awesome. Beautiful, aromatic. And that would be dinner for us. The whole dish is just so flavoursome. Like, it's clean, plenty going on without being super crowded. Give that a go. I really think you'll love this one.